Chapter 12. The Gao Cow is actually the most terrifying thing. As the old saying goes, every cloud has a silver lining. In the second semester of my sophomore year in high school, crushed by mounting academic pressure, my classmates paired off one after another to date and ease their stress. Even a beaten old boat still has plenty of nails, and since our art studio only had two guys, a girl finally took a fancy to me. Her name was Du Feiyu, my desk mate. Just as her name implied, she was far from being a rare gem. I thought it'll do. She's a girl, after all. This was my first love, and I'd secretly daydreamed that it would be thrilling and wildly passionate. Once again, I was dead wrong. Our relationship amounted to her making me carry her school bag every day, fetch meals for her at the cafeteria after class, and dash to the campus convenience store between lessons to buy her chocolates for snacks. Back then, couples in our area called each other husband and wife, yet my role as her husband was little different from maids. She treated me like a servant, and every time she called me husband, I knew another errand was coming. Our only physical contact was the occasional privilege of rubbing her shoulders and pounding her back when she grew tired from studying or painting. Not even holding hands was allowed, let alone kissing, hugging, or anything more intimate. Zero chance. Sometimes I suspected she'd picked me solely for my mild temper. Damn it. Oh well, every turnip fills its own hole. I was lucky enough to have one, so I let things drift along day by day, living a quiet, uneventful life. Still, I never forgot Uncle Nine's teachings. Just as he'd warned, my already sluggish memory had grown even worse after my soul suffered damage, leaving me unable to focus in regular academic classes. I simply stopped trying. Instead of sleeping through lessons, I entered a state of meditation, or as Buddhists would call it, deep contemplation. The three purities scriptures were truly extraordinary. When I recited its verses with a clear mind, visions naturally unfolded in my thoughts, mountains and rivers, birds and beasts, all flickering past like frames of old film before merging into my very being. I could distinctly feel the vital energy lingering all around my body, and the sensation was incredible. During art classes, I'd tape 2 sheets of paper to my drawing board, one for gouache painting, the other for practicing talismans. The deep red gouache made my drawn charms look surprisingly authentic, though they were nothing more than practice strokes with no real power. When old Jia caught me, he scolded me for going down the wrong path, saying I'd end up peddling cheap tricks on the streets in the future. I cursed him inwardly. A frog trapped in a well could never fathom the vast sky. How could he possibly understand my long-lost secret craft? Immersed in Taoist arts and quiet contemplation for nearly a year, I believed I'd achieved minor cultivation. One day, I decided to test whether a properly drawn talisman held real power. I cut a strip of paper 20 centimeters long and 10 centimeters wide. While Du Feiyu napped during lunch break, I slipped into the empty art studio alone. Forming a sword finger with my right hand, I bowed 3 times in reverence to the spiritual treasure lord of supreme purity and began reciting the sacred incantations. First, the brush incantation. I summoned the 5 thunder generals, lightning blazes bright. This charm guards my flesh, binds ghosts, and quells evil might. All living and dead shall bow, my Tao grants eternal life. Hasten by heavenly order. Second, the water incantation. This is no mortal water, but dark northern essence divine. One drop upon the inkstone, wind and rain shall swiftly align. Sip it to cure all ailment, evil spirits shattered and confined. Hasten by heavenly order. Third, the ink incantation. Divine ink forged by the jade emperor's sacred flame. Wreathed in mist, beneath 9 stars it bears its name. Grind it soft, and thunder crashes through the frame. Hasten by heavenly order. With the 3 incantations finished, I feared ordinary ink would render the talisman powerless. Bracing myself, I bit hard into the tip of my left index finger. It looked effortless in dramas, but the pain was sharp and fierce. I refused to give up. Dipping my right fingertip in my blood, keeping my drawing hand unharmed, I sketched the simple Jiazi River fire summoning talisman in one fluid stroke, the charm head first, then the core, and finally the base. I bowed 3 more times to the spiritual treasure lord, completing the ritual. Staring at my first fully crafted talisman, I felt immense pride. It was a genuine work of art. Now came the critical moment. I set the charm on the ground, heart pounding with anxiety. It has to work. It has to work, I told myself. Focusing my will, I raised my right hand in a sword gesture, pointed at the talisman, and shouted, "Hasten, by heavenly order." A sharp crack echoed, and the talisman burst into flames. Overjoyed, I realized I now possessed supernatural abilities. I was unstoppable. Puffed up with pride, I picked up the burning talisman, lit a cigarette, and took a deep, satisfying drag. My only regret was how few ghosts roamed the modern world, leaving my powerful Taoist skills with no chance to be used. From then on, I resolved to grow out the little fingernail on my right hand. Biting my finger hurt far too much. A sharpened nail could nick my skin easily, painlessly, and conveniently. For all my smugness, I never lost sight of reason. I kept Uncle Nine's warning firmly in mind. Never reveal my Taoist arts to others. The heavens watch every deed, and a man must keep his oaths. I tossed the burnt remains of the talisman in the trash, locked the studio door, and hurried to buy milk tea for Du Feiyu, who would wake up thirsty soon. The girl was quite picky about her drinks, yet her figure showed barely any sign of growth despite her sweet cravings. Time slipped by in the blink of an eye, and my senior year drew to a close. A wise man once said, "The time that slips through your fingers is not terrifying. What lies ahead is." I understood those words all too well, for the looming college entrance examination, the Gaokao, filled me with dread. The Gaokao, the final exam for high school students, largely determines one's future livelihood in our country, separating those who thrive from those who struggle. Everyone felt the same pressure. To put it in perspective, imagine 2 housewives chatting at the market after exam results came out. One asks, "How did your kid do?" The other sighs, "Not great. Only got into Harbin Institute of Technology." Hit ranks among the top 10 universities nationwide, yet she called it a failure. The first woman's child only got into Heilongjiang University of Civil Engineering, leaving her too embarrassed to reply. She faked a phone call and fled. If even parents thought this way, how crushing was the pressure on students? Unhealthy comparison ran rampant, and attending a third-tier university was enough to make people ashamed to speak up. I cared less about embarrassment and more about whether I could get into college. Du Feiyu planned to attend Harbin Vocational College, and as her boyfriend, I was expected to follow her there and keep waiting on her. I wasn't spineless, but after a year of dating, I'd come to see she had no outstanding qualities beyond her plain looks. Logically, college would be the perfect chance to break up with her. That was until an unexpected incident revealed a hidden, lesser-known side of her.